Hello everyone, I'm Camila Lemia and welcome to Rappler's The Leader I Want series. It's a campaign that aims to focus on issues and platforms and not just on personalities and gimmicks. Today we are joined by re-electionist Senator Joseph Victor, or more commonly known as JV Ejercito. He serves as the chairman of the Senate Committees on Housing and Health. Thank you, sir, for joining us today. Welcome to Rappler.
Yes, Camila, nice to be here in Rappler. Very nice office, my first time here, and great to be here.
Thank you, sir. Sir, first let's talk about why you decided to run for re-election. What else can you give to the chamber and to the people?
Well, Camila, in my first term, I believe that I was able to perform quite well. And I can remember clearly my message in 2013 when I was asking for the support and for the votes. And back then, that my promise was ginhawa. I wanted to improve the quality of life of the Filipino people. And I would say that in that 6 years, I was able to pass some significant piece of legislation, and to top it all, I was able to shepherd the Universal Healthcare Program, and likewise the creation of the Department of Human Settlement. So I would say that these are fulfillment of that promise to improve the quality of lives, one for housing and one for healthcare. But I would like to continue my service to the Filipino people for another term, because one of the things that I am really pushing cannot be done in 3 or 6 years. No, it's for the long term. As you know, that I'm really passionate about my my advocacy on infrastructure development and transportation modernization, which I feel is the weakest link of our economy, and which I feel that if we are able to address, this can pave the way to growth areas. We'll be able to spread out the development by having growth development areas, and that will be the one that would produce jobs and opportunities, and that is genuine inclusive growth.
Sir, but it has been a long-standing problem in the country.
Yes.
What makes you think that this time you will be able to solve it?
Well, we just have to push for it, no? Because Camille, given the situation right now, we are 103 million or 105 million. And at the rate we are buying cars, 30,000 vehicles added to our streets every month. In 5 years' time, if we do not move, we do not do anything, we will have a gridlock. No? That's for the traffic congestion. But more importantly, we cannot reach our full economic potential, even though during the time of Pinoy, no, President Aquino, we were given an investment grade rating. We had a very good image abroad, but investors chose to go to other countries, no? Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, and even Vietnam. It's because of our weak infrastructure. So that's why I'm very passionate about this, because I feel that we can only reach our full potential for economic growth if we are able to address the economic deficiency of our country.
What exactly do you plan to do if you get re-elected? I mean, in that aspect.
Well, aside from pushing for the infrastructure development, I would still continue. I still feel that we need the emergency powers to address this particular problem, because, Camille, I'm in my estimate, we are 30 years behind in terms of infrastructure development, and we cannot delay this further. So for us to be able to expedite, to hasten all of these projects, the emergency powers would be able to help. So, you know, I'd like to explain to you what I think. No? For example, this is the original line of the PNR, going all the way to La Union, and this one going all the way to Bicol. And in each of the provinces, no, we will create new growth development areas. No? And within this growth triangle, by linking the major ports, Subic, Clark, Manila, and Batangas, if that will be linked by rails, that will make business, that will be very conducive to business. And that's Calabar Zone, Central Luzon, and NCR. And if we are able to put the necessary infrastructure, my estimate is that we can have 30 to 40 million jobs within that area, that growth triangle.
But as a senator, how can you make that happen? Because the senators are quite limited in what they can do.
Yeah, we are only we are only in for legislation, but I mean, it's about time that we look at the long term. Probably what cost our why we are falling behind because of our 3-year term and 6-year term political system, the setup of the political system. Each leader is only concerned for the 3 years or the 6 years. So it's always short and medium term. Now, we have to change all of that and look at the long term. What is long term? That's 10, 20, even 50 years down the road. We need to have a master plan. We need to have a blueprint. We need to have a roadmap that we would follow. Whoever sits as president, I'm hoping that through legislation or whatever it takes, that we would follow the blueprint for infrastructure development, which I think is still the key to development.
Sir, but in terms of infrastructure development, what laws can you file or what bills can you file?
Well, I will file again the emergency powers so that it can expedite and hasten again or fast track the infrastructure projects, and probably I will continue the PNR, Philippine National Railways modernization, and probably what I am thinking right now is how we will have a blueprint or a master plan. Again, as I mentioned, that anybody who becomes president, at least he will have his own short or medium term plan, but I hope that we will follow whatever that master plan or blueprint in the future, so that, probably one of the reasons why we have neglected the major infrastructure, particularly the railways, is because of that system, because of the 3-year term and 6-year term. We need to look at 10, 20, 50 years and beyond.
Sir, now let's talk about the universal healthcare system, which was ratified by the House and the Senate of the Philippines. The BICAM's passage of that bill also comes as the DOH faces lower allocations for the health enhancement or health facilities enhancement program.
Yes.
How do we reconcile that?
Well, I'm very concerned with that, Camilo, because one of the features of the universal healthcare program is we want to strengthen the primary care or the preventive side of healthcare, because that would save a lot of money, and as they say, prevention is easier and cheaper than the cure. So one of the features of the UHCP is to strengthen the primary care component. The way to do that is we have to set up so-called service delivery network, from the barangay health station to the rural health units to the local government hospitals and provincial hospitals, and then to the regional. So we have to set that up, and I am very much concerned that with the budget cuts, especially for the health facilities enhancement program, that this will be a step backward, for the universal healthcare. But as I have mentioned, it is very essential in the universal healthcare that we set up this service delivery network.
So paano yun, sir? Because to implement the universal healthcare, you'll need budget for that. And now we're facing budget cuts. Can you assure that the 14 billion pesos that the DOH needs for next year will be restored?
Well, we will do our very best. I will fight for it, Camille, because I've been going around the country and I've been visiting health facilities ever since I was designated as chair of Committee on Health. And one common problem, Camille, is that most of the government hospitals, provincial or local or regional hospitals, are overcrowded, probably because of the growing population. So most are really over capacity. So I have seen also how some of the hospitals have improved considerably, because ever since the health facilities enhancement program was introduced in 2012 after the sin taxes was passed, then the HFEP budget was formed, and I have seen how it has helped improve the hospitals, the upgrades, the renovation, the expansion. So if this would stop, this would be a step backward especially for the implementation of the universal healthcare program, wherein we want to set up a service delivery network to make it more for us to be able to have a genuine healthcare system that would be well coordinated and cohesive.
Sir, on top of that issue, we also have a problem with the PhilHealth, and it's one of the implementers, target implementers of the UHC. It's been plagued with corruption issues for 2 years now.
Corruption, financial mismanagement, scandal,
Is
scams.
PhilHealth ready to fulfill its role of implementing the UHC?
Well, actually, Camille, probably we can recall we had 2 hearings also that because I was anticipating that we will be able to pass the universal healthcare program this year. So I was quite worried also with the status of PhilHealth's finances. So we had 2 hearings on PhilHealth's performance, no, and it has been we found out and discovered that the reason for one of the reasons why PhilHealth's finances was not really in good shape is because of the 10 billion that was diverted somewhere that was intended for the senior citizens fund, but since it was diverted, the PhilHealth was able to use their reserve fund, so that caused a lot of problem because that disturbed their financial projections. So, but now they are in better shape. But Camille, I would still strongly recommend, that the president or the OP for that matter scout for a financial manager, a financial expert or a fund manager, because PhilHealth is more of fund management, no more than a health agency. So it's fund management of funds, probably a financial expert with actuarial experience or knowledge.
For
Because
PhilHealth president?
Yes, I would still highly recommend that the OP scout and the president appoint a financial expert or the fund manager, so that we can ensure the sustainability of the universal healthcare program through the years, because we need really good financial management.
Sir, we all know that the universal healthcare law is a good measure. I mean, it will benefit a lot. But we have to be realistic as well when it comes to funding for that law.
Yes.
Will the government be able to fund it without increasing
The premiums,
and as
contributions,
well as
probably.
in tobacco taxes maybe, because that's one of the proposals.
Well,
Where do we get the funding for the law?
initially we would need, this is a very ambitious measure. We would need about 257 billion in the first year of implementation alone. But this will be derived from the present appropriations. One is DOH, the Assistance Fund, and then second will be the PhilHealth subsidy. Third will be the PCSO Charity Fund and PAGCOR Charity Fund. So we will now pull all of these funds together, so that we will have a more strategic and more evenly distributed giving of assistance to our constituents. No? So we are hoping that there will be no more lines in PCSO or PAGCOR, that everybody now will now get their equal share of assistance from government. And second, good that you mentioned that about the tobacco tax, because we envision or project that by the 3rd year there will be a spike, no? Because this will already be known. So there might be the claims will be higher. There will be more beneficiaries by that time. So we project that the present appropriations might not be enough. So we are looking at other sources of income. One is the sin taxes, and particularly tobacco tax, because white tobacco, because if you would look at the prices of cigarettes or tobacco products in the Asian market, the Philippines has one of the lowest. So there is still room for increase on tobacco products. And second, Camille, being chair of the Committee on Health, I want this to become a revenue-generating measure for the universal healthcare, and at the same time, an honest-to-goodness health measure, no? Because in 2012, when we passed the sin tax law, that's why it was quite successful. We observed that the behavior, no, of consumers is still the same. It's inelastic, no? That people continue to smoke even with the higher taxes. So that we are hoping that we'll hit 2 birds with 1 stone. One as a revenue generating measure, and second, it will now be an honest to goodness health measure.
Pero sir, matatapos na yung 17th Congress.
Yes.
Will the Congress be able to pass that another sin tax law?
Well,
before
it
it
will
ends
be
in
very
June?
tight. I have to be honest with you, it will be very tight. But I'm thankful to my seatmate, Senator Angara, who already scheduled one. No? We had our first hearing on tobacco, increase in tobacco tax. But there's still time. No? As I mentioned earlier, Camille, that in the first 2 years, the present appropriations will be enough to fund the implementation of the universal health care. So I'm hoping that the next Congress, in the 18th Congress, if I make it, I hope I still make it, I will continue to pursue higher taxes on sin products, tobacco or alcohol, but I would still feel that tobacco is more harmful, no? Because it causes a lot of diseases can be traced, no, through smoking, not only respiratory but cardiovascular as well, which are one of the top killer diseases in the country.
So let's talk about your political plans next year. You left your father's Pwersa ng Masang Pilipino to join the Nationalist People's Coalition.
Yes.
When you took your oath before Senate President Vicente Soto III, you said you haven't talked to your father yet.
Yes.
Between then and now, have you already discussed this matter with your family?
Well, unfortunately not yet, but I'm planning to, no, of course, before Christmas, I hope. No, and I hope that understandable that he feels bad that I left his party. Natural yung magtatampo, but I'm hoping that I will be able to explain my position, my side of the story, because I still feel, Camille, that I just want to be consistent. No? Being one of the authors of the Sangguniang Kabataan Reform Law, I was the one who introduced the anti-political dynasty provision, and I also believe in that. Ever since our population reached 100 million, I feel that there are a lot of people who are willing to serve, who are capable, who are knowledgeable, but just doesn't have the name, the means, and the machinery to get themselves elected. So I still believe in giving chance to others.
Sir.
And just probably to end, there are only 24 senators. There are only 24 seats. And we are running as representatives of the people and not representatives of the family.
Sir, can you take us back to your thought process before you reached that decision of leaving your own father's political party? It's like...
Well, it was a very difficult decision. No? My respect, my love for my father will always be there. Nothing has changed, but I'm hoping that he would understand my position. That I'm just following my principles, my belief that we have to give chance to others as well. And again, we are running as representatives, not of our families.
Have you talked to your half-brother, Senator Jinggoy?
Unfortunately not yet. Hopefully in time. My target is before Christmas, I'll be able to talk to my father, and I will show him all the respect. Actually, we saw each other several times in different occasions. Of course, I said hello, showed my respects, but we never got the chance to really talk. But I'm planning, because I hope that we'll have a father and son conversation, and I hope that to be able to explain to him my position.
Sir, do you think magkakaroon pa ng araw at panahon na magkakayos kayo ni Senator Jinggoy Estrada? Honestly.
Well, I'm hoping in the future. No? Probably not now. Not yet, no? But I'm hoping in the future, because we're still, after all, we're still brothers. No, we have one father, we are linked by blood. But at this point, I mean, it's just a difference. It's differences of principles, probably of outlook, of character, probably. So it's very hard to reconcile at this point, no? And well, hopefully in time, no? Probably in time.
How do you think this family issue will affect your own candidacy in 2019? Or do you think it will affect you at all?
Well, definitely. I have to be honest with you. I know that it's affecting me, and I'm handicapped, no? Because it's never been done before. Probably it's the first time in history that two brothers are running at the same time. And from that onset, you already split votes, no? There are people who will just choose one. That's a natural behavior, and there are people that will be confused, no? So it's very difficult, because that was very evident when Chris Aquino was included in the survey, no? The Senator Bam really dropped several notches down, but when the name of Chris was taken out, he improved. So it's already a handicap for me, because it will be a tougher re-election bid this time. Again, I would say that I'm handicapped because I'm using Ejercito, and the known brand is Estrada. No? It has been in the political scene for 50 years. And the Ejercito name has been in the national scene for only 5 years because I'm the only one who really used the name. So that is a handicap for me. But Camille, I'm still hopeful. I'm still optimistic that my performance as senator in my first term, hopefully, and I'm hoping that combined with my track record, and I'm quite proud in my 18 years of being a public servant, I never been accused, or I've never been involved in any scandals, or corruption issues. So my name is unblemished as far as public service record is concerned. So I'm hoping that my performance and clean track record would still be able to help me be re-elected.
Are you referring to the pork barrel issue against your half-brother?
No, I'm not saying anything. So it depends on who will react, no? But I'm just saying that I'm quite proud that in my 18 years, it's very rare that you have a clean track record. No? I was mayor for 9 years, senator for congressman for 3 years, and now almost 6 years as senator. So I still have a clean track record and a blemished track record. So I'm quite proud of that.
Given all this situation, how do you plan to conduct your campaign? Because you've been saying it's a handicap.
Yes.
You have the...
Well, I'm hoping again that performance and track record would help me, but I would also campaign on my the advocacy that I would want to continue. That is, in order for us to attain genuine inclusive growth, in order for us to produce jobs, we really need to invest or really push for infrastructure development, because this is the only thing that would really spread out the development and create jobs and opportunities.
Sir, pero do you think in the 2019 campaign, you'll need the actual or the physical presence of your father to boost your candidacy?
Well, that would help a lot. No? Of course, my father still has a big following, especially in the Mindanao area, wherein he's still very much loved, as evidenced by the surveys. When you say Estrada, it still has a big following, especially in the Mindanao area. So, of course, definitely it will help. No? But I'm hoping that he would understand my position and still be able to help me. But if not, I just have to live with the reality right now, with what I have, and just bank on my performance and track record. And I'm quite happy that in the Senate, no, our block, no, the seatmates, because probably you are a witness on how we work. We are not only a barkada, but we are a productive bunch, and we help and push each other's advocacy. And probably one of the reasons that I was able to push landmark bills was because of my group, no? And they all say that everybody wants us to remain intact, no, in the next election. So we will continue to be productive.
Speaking of the seatmates, is there an agreement na magtutulungan kayo for the 2019
Oh, yes,
campaign? And
yes.
what exactly yung agreement na yun?
Probably, Camille, because of our very good working relationship. As I mentioned, we are not only a barkada, but we are a very productive bunch in the Senate. We were able to pass a lot of legislations because we help each other. And the non-re-electionist senators, Majority Leader Mig Zubiri, Senator Joel Villanueva, Senator Sherwin Gatchalian, have been really very supportive of me and Senator Sani. No? And
so will they campaign for you, like join rallies?
Yes, I would suppose so. And in fact, there are times that I really feel, sometimes I feel like giving up because of my predicament. They are the ones who are really pushing me. And in fact, just now, Senator Mig Zubiri said that we will fight, and when it comes to Mindanao, that he will be actively campaigning. We will actively campaign for Senator Sani and I. Senator Joel will be campaigning actively in their churches in Central Luzon, where they are they have quite a following. Senator Win, probably in terms of strategy, he would also be helping us. No? So that's the good thing with my seatmates. They have committed, and they are really bent on really having us all be elected.
So let's now talk about the economy of the the country. You voted for Train 1. Do you think it will negatively affect your chances in 2019, considering that that law is partly to be blamed by critics or by experts for the rising inflation?
Well, actually, Camille, I'm not denying that I voted for it. No? But if you can, if I posted also my explanation of votes, and we were really my apprehensions. No, we really vetted it out, and we asked the economic managers. But the very reason that I myself, no, I can only speak for myself, why I was convinced on why I would support train. Not only did the president ask for it, no, the economic managers asked for it, but we raised our apprehensions. But there were two safeguards. No, one is that if crude oil price would reach $80, it can be suspended. And second, which was taken out, which I was really disappointed, and I publicly made the statement that I really did not know that it was taken out, and which convinced me, no, that to vote for train, because there was a safeguard wherein if the inflation rate breaches the threshold of 4%, that it can be suspended. So that was taken out during the BICAM in the final version. So I was really disappointed with that, but nonetheless, the reason why we vote, me personally, because of my advocacy, my belief that infrastructure development is really needed. So that's the very reason that I supported. But I mean, also now things are getting better, probably normalized, everybody's adjusting already to it, and we also made our effort. We went to the president together with 8 majority senators. We went to the president a few months ago, and because we were also concerned, with the rising prices, and combined with the rising crude oil price, which really caused everything to really spiral, to go really to skyrocket. And we were able to convince him. We were, as allies, we were concerned. So we convinced the president if we can suspend the second round of excise taxes. And luckily, and I'm very happy that he listened.
Sir, but looking back, tingin nyo dapat hindi nyo na binoto yun? Hindi na kayo bumoto for Train 1?
Well, circumstances measure then were different. We did not expect that crude oil price would really skyrocket this year. So, and also, again, probably without that, had that safeguard on inflation threshold was taken out, I wouldn't have voted. I was convinced because of that.
Safeguard.
I was convinced because of that safeguard.
Sir, what about Train 2 or the Trabaho Bill? What's your stand on that?
Well, that would probably have a hard time. I have to be honest that because of the Train 1 experience, which we feel that there was a little bit of dishonesty on the part of the economic managers. I'm really disappointed with the removal of the safeguard. I think Train 2 will have a harder time making it in the Senate or passing in the Senate.
So, is it safe to say that it's practically dead in the 17th Congress because you only have how many months left? And it's election
At this
season.
point, I would say so. Because I had the chance, because I go around, I had the chance to talk to a lot of locators in the economic zones. They say that the only reason that they are staying is because of these incentives. But the moment that we remove all of these incentives, they probably would already be packing their bags already.
Sir, now let's focus on China, the Philippines-China relationship. What do you think about the Duterte administration's warming up toward China amid our victory in The Hague?
Well, I support having an independent foreign policy, or the position of the president. But I have to be honest with you that between Japan and China helping us for infrastructure development and other things, I would trust Japan more, because
Why?
I feel that they are more sincere in helping an ally or a friend country, the Philippines, because the overseas development assistance of Japan has very, very, very low interest rates, that are really, we consider a friendly rate. A lot of people are apprehensive with China saying that there are a lot of strings attached with their overseas development
ODA.
assistance, with their ODA. Some say that in feasibility studies alone, which cost billions, we have to get their companies, in the actual contractors, in suppliers. So I have to be honest, I am biased. I would, since I'm the one pushing for the railway system, Japan already committed to do the the PNR North Line and the subway system. So in terms of practicality, in terms of interoperability, I would like that. I'm hoping that Japan also do the South Line. Although I think China is the one that will get it. But in terms of practicality and interoperability, in that way we don't have to have separate technical people. So I would rather have Japan do the North and South Line.
What's your take on the MOU between the Philippines and China on joint gas and oil development?
Well, I think with that, it's China is acknowledging that if it's a 60-40 ratio, they are acknowledging that those territories are owned by the Philippines. So, but we have to know. We still have to make sure that we will not fall into a debt trap, or we have to. I'm hoping that the economic managers would make sure that it will be advantageous to the Filipino people.
What about the third telco, which was provisionally awarded to Ms. Latel between China Telecom and Dennis Uy? Some senators and critics have raised alarm over it. Do you share the same sentiment? Should the Filipinos be worried that China is entering the country's telco industry?
I would share also their apprehension. And
why?
Probably because we have an ongoing dispute, territorial dispute in China. Now, before I don't want that one day I'll wake up that they will all be here already. No, because we have an ongoing territorial dispute. So of course the trust issue should be given thought and importance at this point.
But in general, you're supportive of, despite all these concerns,
But
you're supportive of President Duterte's actions or steps taken towards warming up to China.
You mean that the China pivot? Well, it's good to have an independent foreign policy, and it's good also to have a good relationship with our neighbors. So as long as they don't step into our territorial integrity and respect our sovereignty, and then I'm okay with that. But right now that we have an ongoing dispute, of course, it's very hard for me to put the trust on them.
Sir, if and when you win as senator, what committees would you like to take? Do you want to still be with health and housing?
I'm hoping that I'll have another committee. If Public Services Committee will be available, then I am more interested because that's my advocacy. I'm very much interested in transport modernization and infra development, or probably local government next time, probably because of my experience as a chief executive. So I'm hoping that I'll be able to get other committees, no, because I would say that I've already not done my part, but I've already passed significant pieces of not landmark legislation under my present committees.
So iba
on Health
naman
and
sana.
Committee on Urban Planning and Housing, yes.
Sir, you're one of the candidates endorsed by presidential daughter and Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte. Sa PDP Laban, sources have been saying that isa ka sa kinoconsider to fill the remaining 7 slots. Can you tell us more about that deal or negotiations between you and PDP Laban?
Well, I'm thankful and grateful that a lot of major parties are considering me to be part of their lineup. Probably the main consideration, especially with PDP Laban, they are very much concerned with integrity, especially Senator Coco. No, he's a good friend of mine, and I know for a fact that he is very much concerned with the integrity factor. So that goes to show that they trust me and I'm very grateful for that. That PDP has also included me in their senatorial lineup.
Sir, what's your reaction on President Duterte's plan to create his own so-called Sparrow Unit or Death Squad against communists?
Well, that's mga diskarte niya yan eh. It's very difficult also, no, for the armed forces because you know they are uniformed personnel. They are identified. In the Sparrow units, you cannot identify them. You don't know where they are. So if only to counter that for intelligence purposes, especially, I think that's the main reason why the president wants that, because it's a big disadvantage, no? They identify who the armed forces or our uniformed personnel are, both police and armed forces, but we do not know who the NPAs are, no? Because they are not in uniform.
So you agree with his proposal or plan?
Well, all that probably I look at it as, you know, to counter, no, this disadvantage, no, because as I've said, the enemy is not identified while the government forces are identified.
Sir, any message to the public on why they should vote for you?
Well, I'm hoping and I'm hoping that the public would consider me for a second term, and I would say that I was able to perform as expected in my first 6 years. I had decent performance especially in the two committees that I am holding right now. We were able to pass, as I mentioned, 2 landmark bills that are designed to improve the quality of lives of our people. And second, I'm still hoping to pursue my other passion, which is infrastructure development and transport modernization, which would really pave the way for genuine inclusive growth. And last but not the least, Camille, I reiterate, I'm quite proud that in my 18 years in being a public servant, that I have kept my name clean. My name is unblemished, and my track record speaks for itself.
Thank you very much, Senator J.V. Ejercito. And that was re-electionist Senator Joseph Victor Ejercito, Chairman of the Senate Committees on Health and Housing. He talked to us about his political plans for next year amid an ongoing sibling rivalry between him and his half-brother, Senator Jinggoy Estrada. We also talked about the Universal Healthcare Program, or the Universal Healthcare Bill, which remains to be passed to this date. And we also talked about the challenges that the law might face in the future. Thank you for joining us.